In actual fact, just 2 weeks ago, during Friday evening rush hour, a 60-year-old man with mental health problems got onto our MTR system, and this was covered in the Singapore Straits, so I'm sure you're all well aware of it, with a petrol bomb, which he then threatened the people on the carriage, and it was a pretty full carriage, that he was going to burn them all. He managed to light the petrol bomb, and then he threw it, and as a consequence, 19 people were injured, some of them very seriously. Thank goodness it wasn't a terrorist incident. Had it been, no doubt it would have been very carefully planned. It would have been multiple incidents, possibly in various locations, and the risk to life would have been significantly higher, and I'm sure there'd been a lot more fatalities. So it did raise a number of concerns regarding public areas, public safety, and this is something you can extrapolate into the public event domain. Are we ready for this kind of eventuality? And just looking at this very short video clip, you get quite a strong sense that the public are pretty much on their own when these things happen. I can tell you now, my situational awareness when I travel on the MTR in Hong Kong has increased no end. I always stand in the carriage next to the fire extinguisher. And unfortunately, history tells us, certainly when it comes to terrorism, we are not ready. And we're always playing catch up, and we're always behind what needs to be done. And as a consequence, if you remember 1980, and I know some of you are too young in the audience to remember this far back, but this was a big success because the SAS had prepared and planned for this very big eventuality. In the 90s, we had sarin attacks, so to be honest, we shouldn't be overly surprised about the vulnerability of mass transit facilities. The writing's been on the wall for a long time, and this is one thing that always surprises me. People are always taken aback when some of these incidents take place. History has been telling us all along to be prepared for these kind of situations. We have the Westgate shopping mall, and what you're seeing here is a trend where they're now actively targeting civilians in a much more proactive way. And that is a big issue for event organizers, that you have to be very mindful that now they are targeting the general populace in a much more determined way, which makes them that much more vulnerable, and that means you have to put much more security measures in place. Sydney siege, you're just going for a coffee in the morning, and next thing you know, you're taken hostage, and if you recollect the police intervention, and I know the Australian Federal Police and the New South Wales tactical units, they're very, very capable, very efficient. Still, we had a hostage killed during the intervention, so you can't take these things lightly or for granted. And that was just a single wannabe terrorist, it wasn't even a bona fide terrorist as such. So imagine if you're up against hardcore IS-determined suicide terrorists. It's going to be that much harder to realize a tactical solution. And in 2015, we saw a large number of mass shootings. And 2016, we saw a lot of incidents taking place, and it was already mentioned by Professor Kumar about the lone wolf threat that's going out there. To be honest, what I suspect is ISIS has franchised out the terrorism option. So you've got a lot of wannabe people who are just jumping on that bandwagon, but these are making it that much harder for law enforcement to identify, because they're just people, perhaps with mental health problems or social issues, that just want to step up and jump on that bandwagon. So they're very hard to detect and identify in advance. So you can see the threat on the horizon is quite significant for these kind of events. And if people decide public events are now where they want to concentrate their efforts in terms of public safety, this is going to be a big issue going forward. And my personal view is there's a lot of complacency out there. And I saw this after the firebombing 2 weeks ago. I monitored it quite closely on the media. 5 days after the incident, no coverage at all. Everything gone. So this is a screenshot of the long tail concept, and actually is quite relevant to this kind of situation. People forget very quickly. They become very complacent and forget about it. And I see on the MTR in Hong Kong, nobody's really paying much attention to it anymore. And they're not concerned about it. And they're all back on their mobile phones, maybe waiting for the next incident so they can go viral on YouTube. I don't know, maybe they are. And the problem is, you've got the issue about security, which is what you're all interested in, but then you've got the corollary, which is convenience. You've got the convenience to the public at your event. You've got the level of caution that people are exercising at these events, maybe none at all. Most of these events are quite happy occasions. People don't want to be worried about their personal safety. They're leaving that to the event organizers, and of course the costs issue. So again, I want to emphasize what I'm going to call the 3P trifecta, and I made up all these terms, so if you haven't heard them before, my apologies. But you've got the police, the emergency responders, basically the public sector, or the public services sector. You've got the private areas, the event organizers, people who plan these things, and you've got the public. And what I'm advocating is that we need a lot more overlap between these three dimensions. You need to have much more collaboration, cooperation hopefully, and communication, and I'm seeing a big lack of this.